And still with mining, a bill that's caused much uncertainty in the mining and petroleum sectors since 2013 may be scrapped. Minister Gwede Mantashe wants the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Amendment Bill withdrawn. For more on that, we're joined by mining sector partner at Weber Wenzel, Manus Boyson. Thanks so much for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Now, this call to withdraw the amendment bill, do you think it's the right one?
Yes, I think from a mining perspective, it is the right one. And I say that because there are controversial provisions proposed in the bill. One of them was the beneficiation provisions. It was proposed that the minister would have the regulatory power to declare certain minerals designated minerals, and then also the power to compel mining companies to supply a certain percentage of their production at prescribed quantities, qualities, and timelines for local beneficiation. Linked to that was a prohibition against export of minerals unless the mining company has complied with that directive.
So what would be wrong with that?
No, that is a serious deterrent to investment. It's a serious inroad on the free market system. So for investors to have that sword hanging over their heads of the minister could compel them to supply a portion of their production which may be destined for export to local beneficiaries. The price was a serious issue. It would certainly have deterred investment in the mining sector.
So there were several other sticking points because this bill dates back to 2013. Clearly, there was something wrong with it that raised the eyebrows and concerns of both the former president and now the minister.
Yes, the bill has had a long history. It was first introduced in 2013, as you've indicated. It was then passed by Parliament, but the President referred it back to Parliament basically on constitutional grounds and certain procedural grounds. Now, the constitutional grounds was the minister's powers that I've referred to would have been a contravention of South Africa's international trade obligations, not to restrict exports or to create an export licensing system. There were also amendments to the application system. Currently, we have a first-come, first-served application system, so applications are processed in the order of receipt. The bill proposed a system whereby the minister, if anybody wants to apply for a right, he must request the minister to invite applications, and when more than one application is then received, the minister must give preference to, well, he must accept the most beneficial application, and he only had to give the applicant a first priority. But it was a very soft protection for the applicant. There were also procedural grounds for referring the bill back to Parliament on a lack of consultation, specifically by the National Council of Provinces. Well, what the minister has indicated, according to the press, is that there was not consensus amongst the provinces about what they want in the bill. Yeah. But by and large, I think from a mining perspective, it's positive. There may be issues from an oil and gas perspective because the bill proposed the incorporation of a new Chapter 6 that would have promoted oil and gas exploration on the South African coast as a first phase to a separate legislative regime for oil and gas. Yeah. And if the bill is scrapped, those provisions will fall away. But I think the withdrawal of the bill is not the end of the road. It certainly is the correct step as a first step, but there are certain amendments to the MPRD Act that must be made to clarify certain wording. It's more of a technical, legal type of amendments, yeah, but they are certainly necessary. And then also the separate regulatory regime for oil and gas. The question is how long it's going to take to develop that legislation.
And just very quickly, tell us about Minister Mantashe's time in office and overall. I mean, the fact that he's now asked for this amendment bill to be withdrawn, he seems to be on the right track, some argue.
Yes. Look, I've been reported on that I've mentioned that Minister Mantashe's appointment was a positive step for mining in the country, and what he has done so far certainly supports that, especially with the withdrawal of the bill. I just hope he follows through and effect the other amendments which are required. He's also done fairly well on the amended draft mining charter. It's not in a perfect form, but certainly there are big developments and big positives in the latest draft that we've seen. We just sincerely hope that he would follow through and consider the representations on the draft charter.
All right, thank you so much for your time and your insight. We do appreciate it. That was mining sector partner at Weber Wenzel, Manus Boyson.